Because
Well,
I think
that's what
that
I'm saying. I'm saying worst case scenario. I think the Bengals go 4-4 the rest of their season,
yeah,
which would put them at 9-8 and probably not in the playoffs at that point. But if you make that 5-3 at the very least,
yeah.
and you win one of those games that's maybe a bit of a question mark,
Uh-huh.
then I think that'll be enough to make it to the playoffs. Let's go ahead and jump on to the Bengals, who, I mean, you
Talk
want to talk
about gimme
about.
game.
I don't know about. I don't know about that. I mean, if we're gonna say that, then shouldn't the Browns have a gimme game next week, or not next week? When they play the Raiders at some point this year.
Yeah, I think the Raiders are going to collapse.
Yeah, so I mean, then maybe that's a gimme game. But see, okay, so I agree with you. I do think the Raiders are kind of in the middle of collapsing right now, and by the time they get it figured out, then they're gonna kind of be already out of the playoff race by then. But see, the thing is, for the Bengals, you got to go win this game. Like you just have to. Like you put yourself in a position where, I mean, the whole like must win game is such a cliche that who knows what it even really means anymore. But the way that they've played the last 2 weeks, like where they screwed up against the Jets. And like they really should have won that game, but they let the Jets right back in it, even though they had like an 11-point lead in the fourth quarter. And then they just they absolutely forgot to show up against the Browns. So I mean, I know that's only 2 games, but suddenly you're kind of like, what's going on here? Because I mean, you also had that weird game against the Bears earlier in the season. So I mean, you're sitting here with 4 losses when you really didn't need to have 4 losses. You got 5 wins, and things are going all right. But I mean, you got to go put this Raiders team away because this Raiders team, as we've seen, they lost to the Giants and then they got blown out by the Chiefs. This Raiders team is clearly feeling the sting of all of these off-field distractions. I mean, I don't want to make light of the Henry Ruggs situation, but there was that. Then there was the John Gruden situation where he's just an idiot and a jerk. And then there's the Damon Arnett situation where he's just an idiot. And like like 3 major players in this locker room just vanished, goodbye. And I mean, like that takes a toll on players' mentalities. And it looks like it's been especially with an interim coach in Rich Bisaccia, like trying to lead the charge and everything. It looks like it's been taking a toll on them. And the Bengals cannot let this week be the week that the Raiders get their confidence back. Because I mean, it can still happen. The Raiders are still a very talented football team. The reason they're losing all these games is because they're just the reason that they're just completely mentally gone right now is because of all this crazy stuff that's been happening. It's not because they're a bad football team. So I mean, here's the thing: if you let the Raiders feel like they can get into this, if you let the Raiders feel like that they're a better team than you, then they're going to pounce on you. The Raiders are not an easy pushover team, but you can, if you go out and you take care of business, everything's going to be good. But if you give them too much of a chance, they can easily come back and bite you. So if the Bengals come out of this on a 3-game losing streak, and they end up at 5-5 after they started 5-2, that's not good.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be good. That you go back to that Jets loss.
Exactly.
Mike
the
White.
Jets lost that really should have, even with Mike White having a 400-something yard game, the Bengals still played well enough to win that game up until the end.
But see, look, I'm thinking positive about this though. You go into a bye. This is Joe Burrow's first full season, second season in the league. You have a chance to kind of go over things in the bye. The bye is the ultimate booster shot. Now I know you said a couple podcasts ago that the Bengals do historically bad after a bye, but I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen this year.
Well, they did with Marvin Lewis. I'm not saying that that's who they are permanently. I mean,
Yeah.
they have under Zach Taylor, but the team's also been really bad under Zach Taylor, so it's kind of
Yeah,
hard
so
to
it's
really
hard to
identify.
gauge. Yeah.
It's hard to identify what trends are real with Zach Taylor just yet.
Exactly. So what I'm just gonna say is like I really do think the bye is gonna help y'all. I
Mm-hmm.
really do think the bye is gonna help y'all. I think the bye is gonna be a chance for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to rekindle their relationship again and come back even stronger. So yeah, I really like the bye.
Well, that and
So
you've got an
I think it's gonna help
opportunity
them.
for Joe Mixon and this offensive line to really get some confidence behind them because this maybe not in the passing game because the Raiders have a pretty good defensive line, but the Raiders have been awful against the pass or against the run this year.
Yeah, and
So
people get
I
healthier too.
right. So I think Joe Mixon has a chance to go out and have an absolutely baller game this week.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be nice to see Joe Burrow have a good game too, but I really think that this could be a big Joe Mixon game. So if you got Joe Mixon in fantasy, I'd suggest starting him this week.
I think it'd be a big game for Joe Mixon too. So no, so Joe Mixon, I think Joe Mixon is a dynamic runner who's always underestimated by the national narrative. I think Joe Mixon is such a elite running back. I think that he has the skills and the makeup to be an elite running back, and it's all about doing what they can to make sure that he becomes that elite running back. I believe he had some injuries that he was battling at the beginning of the year. So the bye will help him regain health and regain focus going to the rest of the season. I'm really excited to see what Joe Mixon can do against a team like the Raiders because I just
and like just a little bit of a underrated thing here. You might be seeing Chris Evans a little bit more of him.
yeah, I
Second
love
half
Chris
of the year
Evans.
too. Because I mean, don't forget he might be getting a little bit healthier. They've actually been working him in as potentially seeing if he can do some like kick returning because we lost Brandon Wilson for the year, who was our main kick returner. So I think Darius Phillips is the guy who's going to be slotting in that position. But you might see Chris Evans if Chris Evans can get it done.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Chris Evans is my favorite pick for underrated player of the week. He's my underrated player of the year. I mean, this offense is averaging 40 something. This offense is putting up 30 points a game, 40 points a game. They put up 40 against get the offense going, man. Like, those bombs to Jamar Chase, man, that's elite. Then Uzama, the tight end. Ugama. Uzama.
God damn it, Thomas.
He's a beast. I like him.
Yeah, no, he's good. The thing about Jamar Chase is, I think Jamar Chase is going to have a huge second half of the year. I really
okay.
Because like I mean, if you look at the way that opposing teams are playing against him, they're not trying to shut him down the way that you kind of expected teams were going to try to shut him down with how good of a season he had. I just think him and like I think Burrow's had he's had some sort of mental block in recent weeks. I don't know exactly what's up, but I think I think him and Jamar Chase's chemistry's been off. So I think coming out of this bye week, I think Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are going to kind of reconnect, and I could really see Jamar Chase having a really strong second half of the year, and partially just because I don't think opposing defenses are really quite yet making enough of an effort to stop him.
But who will be the cornerback matchup against Jamar Chase? Desmond Trufant?
Trufant? You all know who Desmond Trufant is?
I have no idea who Desmond Trufant is. I can't pronounce his name. Why? Who is he?
I mean, he's like, if I have the correct Trufant here. No, I'm thinking of Marcus Trufant. Desmond Trufant is Marcus Trufant's little brother. And he's been a solid. He was a first round draft pick by the Falcons. He was solid for a while. I guess he's been kind of bouncing between teams for the last couple years, as in this year and last year. But I mean, he was a solid. Like he was like a lockdown starter for the Falcons for years.
So what you're saying is There
I'm
isn't a
shocked that
corner.
I'm shocked that he's been bouncing around. He must have gotten hurt or something.
So you're saying there's not a corner on the Oakland Raiders roster that can guard Jamar Chase?
I think Desmond Trufant could.
What? Well, he's
But
a
I
fourth
mean,
string.
clearly something's been going on with him lately, so maybe he can't. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, you look at you got they got Casey Hayward.
Yeah, that's the first
Casey
thing I asked.
Hayward. Casey Hayward's good.
All right, well, shout out to Casey Hayward.
So Casey Hayward will probably be taking on Jamar Chase, and he'll probably do pretty well.
Okay, well, there you go.
But yeah, I mean, like, the rest of their cornerback room is like, Desmond Trufant, who's apparently not even starting, and I can't figure out why. Like, he was a great cornerback for a while.
Well, the whole thing is you're going against a team that just lost 2 in a row, just like you guys have, and this is gonna be a game for both of y'all to kind of measure where both teams are at. But I really do think that this is a game where the Bengals are gonna get back on track. Who's playing home this game? Are y'all playing home or are they playing home?
No, it's in Las Vegas.
I still think y'all win. I still think y'all win.
Yeah, I think first of all, home field advantage, like I said, hasn't really meant a whole lot in the NFL this year.
I think buys do.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, as a Bengals fan, I'm still a little wary of buys because buys were not a good thing in the Marvin Lewis era. But we'll see exactly what happens with the Bengals as far as the Zach Taylor era and bye weeks go. But I feel like the Bengals should win this game, and if they do, they'll be 6-4, and you can probably go ahead and buy your playoff ticket if that's the case. I mean, if the Bengals are 6-4 and they have a tiebreaker over the Raiders, I think it probably you can figure the Bengals will probably come out the rest of the season. Bengals schedule after the Raiders, they play the Steelers. They'll beat the Steelers, I think. And then they got the Chargers. I think that's another one. I think the Chargers have just not been looking as good lately. So
the Chargers started hot, but I think they're going to.
I'd say at the least the Bengals should be favored in that one if they do what I think they'll do the next 2 weeks.
Kansas City's going to win AFC West.
The 49ers could be interesting. The 49ers in Cincinnati and then the Broncos in Denver. Those 2 games could be interesting, I think. Those 2 games,
49ers
those 2 teams have kind of been wild cards lately. Then you got the Ravens, who the Bengals have already proven that they can beat, and this one will be in Cincinnati. Then you got the Chiefs in Cincinnati, which the Chiefs kind of look like they're kind of on the comeback lately. So, you never know with that one. But and then you got the Browns. You got the rematch with the Browns. I don't see any reason why we can't win that one. So, I mean, I think worst case scenario here, you're looking at. Well, okay. I guess worst case scenario, you're looking at 4-4, which puts the Bengals at 9-8. So that's not great.
But I don't know
making the playoffs if you're probably not making the playoffs if you finish 9-8. But if you beat even one of those teams that I said they might have an issue with, and we're talking about teams like the 49ers and the Broncos, which have been like super inconsistent this year. So I mean that puts you at 10-7, and I think that's probably enough to make the playoffs.
No, I think. See, okay, so and here's why I disagree with people. Well, a lot of people where they're looking at the record. So people when they look at the AFC, they look at all those teams that are at the top, and they're like, all right, so you're gonna need 10, 11 wins to make it to the AFC playoffs. I think it's gonna be less than that because I think what's gonna happen is teams got to play each other. And I think teams are gonna be losing. I think it's that simple to say. People are going to be beating up on each other, and the record to get in is going to become lower because there's no real dominant team in the AFC.
I don't think it's going to be 9-8 though.
No, I don't think it's going to be 9-8, but I think you might be getting in with 10 wins. I think a 10-win team. I think a 10-win team. At first, a lot of people were saying that you had. I think a 10-win team can make it to the playoffs this year.
Because that's what I'm saying. I'm saying worst case scenario. I think the Bengals go 4-4 the rest of their season.
Yeah,
which would put them at 9-8 and probably not in the playoffs at that point. But if you make that 5-3 at the very least, and you win one of those games that's maybe a bit of a question mark, then I think that'll be enough to make it to the playoffs.
Okay.
Especially if that one game that I was talking about comes against a team like the Broncos, for example. because that's going to be a big part of your competition to make it.
Yeah.
To the playoffs in the first place.
Yep.
Well, I guess depending on what the Broncos do the rest of the season, but I mean, right now it looks like they're going to at least be in the mix.
Yeah, they're a very up and down team.
Yep. Although I will say, like I mean, we're saying like they're up and down because they just lost to the Eagles, but maybe the Eagles are better than we thought.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, like, they're still a very up and down team. Let's be real.
That's probably true.